and welcome back to my homestead. Earlier today we picked a ton of different vegetables in the garden, including this beautiful cabbage, and I'm gonna cook it for my family's dinner tonight. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna stew it together with a few root vegetables such as an onion, a couple of carrots, and I'm gonna use homemade smoked sala. Sala is pork fat. Oh, it smells so good. Look at this. Isn't this beautiful? So a friend of mine in Pennsylvania actually made this and he sent it to me. So thank you, Daniel. It looks delicious, it tastes delicious, and it's beautiful, beautiful. And it's gonna go very, very well as the base for my stewed cabbage. So I'm gonna start by peeling things, by chopping things, and start sauteing them together and stewing them. And it's gonna be perfect for my tonight's dinner for my family. Okay, so for this recipe, very few ingredients. Well, obviously a cabbage. And this is a good sized cabbage, but not awfully large. And again, you can cook how much you need to feed your family. But this is gonna be almost like a main part of the dish. So it's gonna be a lot of cabbage. I wanna say this is about 3 pounds of cabbage here. Then I'm gonna use a couple of carrots, medium-sized carrots, 1 large onion, and salt, pepper to taste, because remember this is sala, which means pork fat or bacon. You can always use bacon. This is already salty, so you need to taste and see how much salt you need to add. Also, I'm going to put a little bit of sugar, just a little bit. It does help to mellow everything out. Where did my knife go? I lost my knife. And this is salted and smoked, and it's very fragrant, very delicious. If you don't have pork belly that is smoked and salted, it can be found in many ethnic stores where they sell Russian food, Polish food. But if you don't have that, you can always just go ahead and use your favorite type of bacon. It's still gonna be perfect. But because I have my Russian, Ukrainian blood running through my veins, I'm gonna be using my sala. Okay, so here it is, and all I did, I'm just gonna chop them into small little chunks, okay, because I don't want them very big when I am eating my stewed cabbage, but at the same time I want them to feel a little bit on my bite. Okay, so just slice them a little bit. This one is slippery. All right, so how many? I don't know, I want to say probably like 2-3 ounces. That's it. You don't have to put too much because that's not the main ingredient. Okay, now how to cut the cabbage. All right, so that's the dilemma that many house cooks face. And I have to tell you, my friends, you can cut cabbage in any shape or form you like. Okay, if you like to slice it in very, very thin, slice it very, very thin. If you like to cut them into squares, cut them into squares, and nobody's going to judge you. It's really how you like it. I'm going to shred them very thin because that's how my mama taught me, and that's how it's usually done in my culture. So that's how I'm going to do it, but you can do it any way you want because it's really not going to change the taste of it. All right, what kind of pot do we need to cook this in? Well, I like to cook this sort of thing, especially if it's going to be braising for a while. I like to cook it in a heavy bottom pot or a cast iron pot. Okay, so I do have a cast iron pot, and that's how I'm going to be cooking it because once everything sautés and I add the cabbage, it wants to cook low and slow. So almost like braising. Alrighty, so let me just cut the onion as well. And onion I'm going to be cutting in half to make them small, okay? And I'm just gonna slice them in thin slices. If you guys prefer to cut them in cubes, more power to you. The only request that I will make is that when you're cutting onion, remember the onion has to cook down and disappear in a cabbage. So it should not be very big pieces because you're going to be biting into a big piece of onion, and that's not what this dish is about. So this is why I'm just cutting them, okay? Cutting them into small, little, manageable, thin slices because when they cook down, they're literally going to disappear, okay? So I'm just slicing this down. So we harvested a lot of vegetables today, including a lot of cabbage. And some cabbage I make into sauerkraut. And I guys already have a video of sauerkraut. It's one of my most favorite and most popular videos on my channel. So I will add a link to that. But also I'm going to be freezing it. And I'm going to have a separate video about how I freeze cabbage. Because with the frozen cabbage, you can cook it any time of the year. Even in the cold winter months when, you know, cabbage may be not accessible. But also remember, there's certain time of the year when cabbage is very cheap. St. Patrick's Day. St. Patrick's Day, super, super cheap. All right, so let's start sauteing things. Okay, so here's my pot. And like I said, I like to use my cast iron pot. And I'm going to be putting all the bacon in it. The pot is still cold, okay? So I'm dropping it into a cold pan, cold pot. And the reason why I'm doing it in a cold, because if I put this into hot right now, it's going to render too much of this fat, and I want to keep it as intact as possible. So only now I'm going to turn the heat on, okay, and let this cook for a little bit, and I'm going to be adding my onion. In the meanwhile, I have my cheese grater, my vegetable grater, whatever you want to call it. So now I'm going to be shredding my carrots because I want it to cook down and disappear in a dish, because again, it's not the main star of the dish. The cabbage is, okay? Okay, so it begins to warm up a little bit, and a little bit of fat being rendered from the pork belly from my sala. Okay, so the bacon or the sala is beginning to cook down a little bit, okay, but not completely all rendered. I'm going to be adding my onion and let the onion cook for a few minutes until the onion becomes very, very soft and translucent. Okay, you may turn the heat down a little bit if you want, if you don't want to keep it on very high, but I'm going to keep it on medium high or so. Okay, and I'll just cook for a few minutes until the onion is nice and soft. The fragrance in the kitchen is amazing. Thank you, Danik. Thank you, Daniel. It's a wonderful, wonderful salad. Absolutely love it. It's delicious. Okay, so the onions are nice and translucent. And my salad, my pork belly, got nice caramelized color as well. So now I'm going to be adding the shredded carrots. Okay? Shredded carrots. And while that is cooking, I'm going to start shredding my cabbage as well and get that ready, because now the carrots will cook for the next 4 or 5 minutes, okay, until the carrots become nice and soft as well. Okay, so here's my beautiful cabbage that I'm just gonna slice in half. Okay, ooh, look how beautiful it is, okay? So now I'm going to start shredding it. If you choose to remove the outer leaf because you think, it's very firm, you can do that, and I'll just give it to my animals. They will enjoy it. And now I'm just going to start shredding it, okay? And I'm going to be cutting it in a way that it's going to produce nice and long and thin strips of cabbage, okay? Nice and thin, and they will break up into like a little pieces, okay? But again, friends, if you choose to cut them in squares, that's fine by me. Just remember that it's probably going to cook a little longer. All I'm doing right now, and I keep twisting it, okay, so it creates those thin slices for me. So I also am cooking a very traditional dinner today. I am frying up my homegrown potatoes from my garden, and all I did, I just peeled them, I just sliced them into little squares, like little slices. And it's not like, it's similar to home fries, which you may see in at breakfast restaurants when you go out for breakfast. It's not the same thing, but it's something similar. So I'm just sauteing that with a little bit of olive oil and a little bit of butter, some salt and pepper, and a little bit of onion. So I'm going to be serving up a very, very traditional evening meal for my family. So Daniel, thank you so much. Your salad has given me the inspiration to make this dinner. So, Danik, за твое здоровье. Okay, so everything is nicely softened up. I'm going to be adding my cabbage and let that all cook together. So I'm going to turn the heat down because I don't want the cabbage to burn. Okay, I'm going to add a little salt, a little pepper to taste, of course, and then I'm going to be adding probably about a teaspoon of sugar. Okay, about a teaspoon of sugar because for some reason it adds a good flavor, not too much, just 1 teaspoon, that's it. It's not supposed to be a sweet dish, this is a savory dish, okay? And I'm going to be stirring everything together. This cabbage will reduce. All right, so now I need to pay attention and look how much juice this cabbage will create, okay? If this cabbage does not create enough juice, I may have to put a splash of water, just a little bit, okay? Not too much, because I want it to kind of steam all together, okay? It's not supposed to burn. It's supposed to nicely and softly saute. Each household has their own recipe how to make stewed cabbage, and this is my recipe, always using a little bit of sala, that smoked pork belly, or bacon if you have it. All right, so let that cook very, very slowly. I'm going to turn the heat down to low, and I'm going to put a cover on. And it's going to cook for the next 10-15 minutes, and I will check on it. Okay, friends, it's been cooking for about 15 minutes. And what I like about this pot is like it's self-basting. So every time when I open it, let me hold it this way. When I open it, these little bubbles on the top of the pot, of the cover, creates its own steam, and the water drips down. Okay, so I think it's done. I have to taste it for salt, for pepper, make sure everything is seasoned well. I'm not going to put any more spices in here. Everything seems to be nice and soft and cooked down. See how much it cooked down? And there was no need to add any more liquid. It's juicy enough on its own because it's not supposed to be watery, okay? It's supposed to be just stewed cabbage, that's all. All right, I'm going to turn the heat off, and I'm going to put a cover on, and I'm going to let it rest for a minute or two. Okay, it's time to serve dinner for my family. So the main part of this dish is going to be the stewed cabbage. Now, this can be keto because it has, if you don't add any sugar, this can be completely keto, but I put a little bit of sugar so it's not keto. But still, it's mainly vegetables and a little bit of bacon or pork belly. Okay, and then I'm going to be adding some potatoes that I made. Look at that. Okay, just a little bit, and there's the sauteed potatoes, a little bit of dill to garnish, our homegrown tomatoes from our garden, and they are so juicy and they're so sweet and they're so delicious. All right, so I'm just gonna put that on the side. Okay, and this plate is gonna go to my husband for dinner. So this is a typical Russian dinner, no meat. Why? Because meat is super expensive. Look at this beautiful, beautiful dinner. Very simple, okay? Just like in my childhood, Mama used to make. And I'm gonna say a big special thank you to my friend Daniel. Danik, thank you very much. Большое спасибо. Твое сало очень-очень вкусное. On this note, friends, I hope you stay encouraged and try something.